Hey everyone, I'm here today with Tim Ferguson. Tim, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks, Pete Malicki.
You're welcome. Tim, give us the elevator pitch on your creative career, 20 seconds or less.
I'm 6'2". I'm a comedian and a writer and a teacher of comedy writing, and Doug Anthony All-Star, and I just made a movie.
Awesome. Tell us about the movie.
It's called Spin Out. It's an Australian film about a bachelor spinster ball. V8 engines, cars spinning, a little bit of vomit.
Excellent. Well, can never have enough vomit, really.
You can't have enough.
Yeah. So Tim, you've made a movie, you've been in an internationally touring act for decades, you've had your own TV show which you hosted. How did you get a start to do all of this stuff? What was the first thing that you did to break in?
Started busking on the street with the Doug Anthony All-Stars. Busking was very effective because we got to practice being funny without the pressure of having to be funny, because we're doing this stuff for free. People could just walk past. I highly recommend practicing your craft, whatever it is, on the street. I met a poet who came up to me and said, if I read you a poem, will you give me $1? And he gave me the topics. You can have penguins, my mother, or,
Wow.
cars. I picked one. He read a poem that he'd written. I gave him $1.
Excellent.
That's showbiz.
That's showbiz. What advice can you give artists around promotion? How would you promote an event or even themselves?
Well, there's the big way where you go on, TV, had posters everywhere and all that stuff. It's very expensive. We use Facebook in the All-Stars, and I use Facebook a lot to promote my courses or my books. The good thing is you get to target for minimal expense exactly who is going to see your ad. Because it says, who do you want? And you can put screenwriters, writers, comedians, authors, anybody interested in doing a comedy course, and they'll be the ones who see it. Facebook is slowly eroding the advertising industry because of this. TV advertising, really, who does that anymore? Funerals and occasionally gardening. But Facebook works really well. Then once people like it, you can start talking to them. They'll ask you questions, you give them answers, and who knows, they might buy what you're selling.
So you can engage with them directly through the ad that you've put up there, so they can click on it and respond and start talking to you straight away.
Yeah, it's more honest because they're talking to you as an individual, as opposed to, now hear this.
Now, you were saying something to me earlier, Tim, which I thought was really interesting, that you think Australians aren't good at promoting themselves. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, Australia was a convict colony for a while, and that convict thinking has left us with the idea that anybody who's saying they're good at something has to be killed in the showers.
Right.
Australia's the only place in the world where people have a tall poppy syndrome. We invented that expression. And it means that people have this forced humility, which in show business is a complete waste of time. How many times have you read about the Humility Awards? Humility and silence are the least interesting human qualities. We let monks do that. So it's very important. If you're good at what you do, tell people what you do. You don't have to use adjectives. I'm fabulous, I'm great. But you can say, this is what I've done. These are the things I've learned. These are my skills. Because that's what, producers want to know.
Yeah.
And it's not being a wanker to say, and obviously, given all this, I'm good at this. I can come into your project and fill a gap.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. You don't want to come across as a wanker, but that's usually because people don't do it well. They'll just say, "Well, look, I'm really fucking good," basically, and no one wants to hear that. But if you just outline your skills and experiences and say, "Look, I'm really experienced. I think I'm pretty good at what I do," I think if you deliver it in the right way, then yeah, that's a better way of promoting yourself.
Yeah, just the facts, no adjectives.
I like it.
I've connected with people on LinkedIn, and that really works as well. Young actors who get in touch and they say, "I've done this, I've done that, and here's a link to, say, a short film I was in."
Okay.
And this really works because the next time somebody says, "Help us with this short film," I've already sort of connected with this person, and they seem like they're a self-starter. Why not try them?
Great. Yeah, that's excellent. You also said to me earlier that you think actors should do more comedy. What's your thinking there?
Yeah, it's a really useful skill, being able to stand in front of a crowd for 5 minutes and be funny. A lot of people are terrified of performing comedy, but that's good for most actors who try it because they've got no competition. An actor who can also say, "And I do stand-up," is immediately more interesting because they're a person who can write their own material, effectively direct themselves, and stand in a bear pit. And of course, it's always difficult, but it's like dentistry. The first patient is always hard, but it's a really important skill. The other thing doing stand-up will do is it gives you something to say when people say, "What are you up to?" An actor between shows can't say anything, or they've got to make it up. Whereas if they're doing stand-up, they say, "Well, actually, I'm doing a 5-minute open mic thing on Monday."
Yeah.
It's something to do.
Yeah, staying active and diversifying what you're doing. And also, like, a lot of the opportunities in Australia are comedies. Like, most of our TV and movies are comedies.
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
dramas.
Oh, yeah. Whether it's Priscilla or Red Dog or, even Crocodile Dundee, they're the things that attract audiences best. And also, an actor who can't be funny is no good to me because real drama has 2 masks, a smiling one and a weeping one, not one. So it's a skill and it's a craft that can be practiced. They need to get onto it, and stand-up's the place to do it. Do it.
Do it. He said it. Finally, one tip for someone who wants to start out in the industry. What would be your number one bit of advice?
Get in the audience's face. Whatever art form it is, get in their face. There's no point in hanging your picture on a wall and hoping people enter your house to find it. If you're an artist, put it on an easel and go and sit in the middle of a shopping centre, you and your painting. Get in audience's face so they can see what you're doing, and like busking, they can then make a choice whether they want to buy a ticket.
Love it. Tim, thank you so much for your very sage advice.
Thank you. I'm old now, so I am a sage.
Yeah, indeed. It's wisdom now that you past the 50 mark.
Yeah, as opposed to habit.
As opposed to habit. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
See you later, guys.